Another good morning or good afternoon, shall I say, from New York, and welcome to another interview video with a local New York-based photographer. The person I'm interviewing today, I've been following for quite a while, and it's not Faisal, unfortunately. He's had 2 episodes, he's not getting another one. Sorry, Chris. Anyway, the person I'm interviewing today is Mike. Also on Instagram goes by the name of Illkoncept. However, I'm not gonna babble on too much. Instead, I'm gonna introduce Mike and let him talk you through his entire process.
I am a professional photographer based here in New York. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I started shooting 10 years ago back in Milwaukee, and I just became obsessed with photography and kind of learned my photography through trips to Chicago. So I learned a lot of what I would shoot now in Chicago and Milwaukee. And I originally started with honestly abandoned buildings found through Instagram. But then I kind of went into cityscape and architecture and portraits and kind of went through the whole waves that, back in 2015, 16, Instagram was a lot different. And then I moved here to New York in 2019, 5 years ago-ish, and developed a really big interest in street photography. And I've just been obsessed with that ever since.
It seems a bit of a trend because you're not the first person I've met who is a street photographer now or is in photography but has a background in either skateboarding or BMX or some kind of a sport like that. Do you reckon there's a link somehow? Is it because you're filming your mates? I
think there's different ways to express yourself. They're very creative fields, both of them. One's a sport, obviously, and this can be kind of a sport, but there's a lot of similarities between skateboarding and sports, I guess, and photography. You think about it, skateboarders go to a spot and they try to leave their mark by doing something different, to a stair set or a handrail or some kind of obstacle, like this maybe. And then photographers do the same. You go to a spot, you want to do something that's your stamp, like Roman shot this there, oh my God, that's sick, and stuff like that. And it takes a lot of attempts. Skateboarders try hundreds of times to get one thing. Same with photography. It takes a lot of passion, discipline, persistence to get good at it. Same with photography. You can't just half-ass photography and expect to get results. Same with skateboarding. You can do it by yourself. That's another big thing. It's not a team sport. You can just go out and shoot photos whenever you want. I used to just skateboard in my driveway all the time back in Wisconsin. So this is a lot less painful. So
awesome.
Thanks, man. What's your name?
Yeah. Jordan. Yeah, bro, actually, I'm gonna take a piece. That's tough.
I can just send it to you.
Yeah, bro, please. Hold up.
This is probably going to be a question anyway, but whilst I'm here, I've just noticed there's loads of nice solid colors here.
Yeah.
And I've noticed in your work, there's a lot of solid colors, and color is very prominent in your work. Is it a creative choice, or do you just like solid piece of color like that? Or?
Definitely a creative choice. I'm really drawn to light color composition recently and complexity, and color just has a big part of that. And to be honest, as cliche as it sounds, it came a lot from being introduced to Alex Webb's work, because he has such prominent colors in his work from shooting the Caribbean and South America and all those places. So it's just something I'm drawn to. And it's hard to find here. So this is the kind of grit that I do like, because I feel like someday this right here, empty lot, is gonna be something boring. So I try to, work scenes like this into my environment, because this is very old New York, and someday it's gonna look like this. Pan over to that TD, that's what it's gonna be. Just give it a couple years, it'll be that. So this is more attractive to me than that, but to each their own. I know a lot of people don't like graffiti, but I love that part of New York. I feel like I'm gonna work on slowing down a little bit, I guess. So one thing that always happens to me is I power walk everywhere. We don't even have anywhere to be, but for some reason I'm flying by, and then I miss things. I think one important thing is if you just slow down a little bit and kind of look everywhere. You gotta have time for moments to happen instead of just trying to get somewhere.
So for viewers who might not be familiar with you and your work, if you can quickly summarize your street photography, is there any way you can just describe your work?
That's one of the harder questions, because I like to photograph so much. And I would say that I have a lot of experience shooting other things besides street photography, but I think I kind of blend it all in to like when I moved to New York is really what like propelled my street photography interests. And I think at first I was doing more composition-based work with architecture and drive-bys and stuff, but I think one of the most interesting things about New York is its people. So I kind of, over the years, have gravitated towards documenting people, whether that's candid interaction between people on the street or some sign of human life, like even a broomstick. Like I have a lot of photos of kind of beauty in the mundane. I try to show a lot of overlooked areas of the city. That's why I like the gritty parts, I like the gritty characters.
Moving on to gear, what camera gear do you use? What lenses do you use? What focal lengths do you use? Just give us a bit of an overview there.
I've switched a lot. So I used to shoot a lot of 55mm, 85mm, but lately I went to 35mm the last couple of years, and now I'm at 28, just because I'm trying to pack more information and complexity into my frames. I also have a 55mm with me, and I shoot digital and film. So I shoot digital on Sony, and I have a couple Sony cameras, and film, I just have a cheap Canon EOS 300. It's like a Rebel 2000. It's a film SLR made in 1999, so it has autofocus and stuff, but it shoots 35mm film. I also have a medium format Fuji 645.
And is there any particular reason why you're using an old manual focus lens on this?
Yeah, so I noticed Sony doesn't have like a very good 28mm, in my opinion. My 28 was pretty soft. It was the FE28, F2. I wasn't happy with the results, and even though it was at like f16 on a 28mm, it still sometimes would focus on the wrong things. So this lens, this is a Voigtlander 28 Ultron 2 f2.0, and I can zone focus with this, or range focus, but this isn't a range finder. But so I can just set the zone, so it's at f11, and anything from like 3 or 4 feet to almost infinity will be in focus. So I don't have to worry about focus at all. I just know that if I'm going to photograph, if the person's 3 to 4 feet in front of me and beyond, they'll be in focus. It takes a lot of worry out. Yeah, and I have some other little tricks about the gear that I can save for later. But
So the next question I wanted to ask you is, when you're walking around and you're looking for a shot, is there any particular cues, or is there anything that catches your eye that makes you want to investigate more?
First thing that attracts me to a location, I'm like an insect or something, like I'll follow the light. So we're walking straight right now because I know the light is going to be on the right side of the street, on the east side of the street. That's why we're on the east side. So I'll follow the light because the light is like just kind of dictates where I go. Then it's usually moment or character driven, but lately I've been into more complex scenes, so it has to be more than just one moment or character, but like that kind of is like my anchor. So like if I see like a person with balloons walking down the street, I'll be like, okay, that's like a good starting point. So I'll kind of use that as like, I'll follow that person, or I'll kind of stand there and then I'll wait for other stuff to happen, hopefully. Or sometimes it's just working out where you like see her here, this person coming by. You can kind of start to predict when things are coming together. So that's kind of how my brain's been working. But in the city, that can mean anything from like fashionable characters to just interesting looking people. And it's kind of hard to describe what makes them interesting to me. It's just kind of instinctual. But there are other things too, like we talked about earlier, maybe color. I like bright, bold colors, probably influenced by older works. Like Ernst Haas is one of my favorites. He used a lot of color. Alex Webb, Fred Herzog. We're gonna walk on the left side of the street. I also like texture and abstract, so I've been doing less of that lately, but like I look for abstract too. Like you can see the side of this truck right here is all reflecting people. So sometimes these black Sprinter vans can be a really nice abstract starting point. And I actually have a photo, I'm gonna put it up right now. It's like, it's in Williamsburg, and it's I found a red and yellow wall, and I was working the scene straight on, like the red and yellow wall, but then all of a sudden this exact kind of van parked next to me, and I was able to shoot through the reflections, and then the subjects are going behind me, and you'll see the silhouetted figure of like Hasidic Jewish people with the hats and the robes or whatever, like the coats. They came through and they completed the image, because if you like look at these, there's a guy in here, so I don't want to like blast it, but these reflections are just interesting and they create a nice texture. So textures, color, reflections, people. Is
photography for you just a hobby for fun, or is it like a bigger meaning to your work?
It's definitely not fun a lot of the times. I think it's like way more than just a hobby for me. It is a career for me. You know, I do this for my job too. But like my street photography itself, I'm doing for a bigger purpose. I don't know what that purpose is yet, but I feel like, you know, I'm out here. It's way beyond fun. I'm trying to do it for like a historical record. We'll see what that means. But yeah, definitely more than a hobby. I take it very seriously, and I'm always trying to improve. And I think progress is my greatest. That's like how I measure that That's like how I'm happy, when I start getting the photos that I want, and when I am improving and just experiencing life through my camera. And it shows me my interests as well. So like, I always needed a way to express myself through skateboarding, video, now photography, but it helps me learn more about myself, because what I point a camera at is what I'm interested in, and I wasn't interested in any of that until I picked up a camera. I didn't even travel until I picked up a camera. It like changed my life. So I don't know, this is like an extension of me now. So one of my favorite photos was shot here at this Beyond the Pale. And during COVID, this was like an abandoned storefront, and it was bright red, covered in graffiti. And I can't, like every day, I don't know, maybe in a couple hours, this light comes onto the building, and you can kind of see it starting on the left side. But I like camped here every day for a few days, always waiting for something to happen, like fishing. And all of a sudden, I was like waiting for someone, like people would be silhouetted on the right, and then on the left they had sun. And all of a sudden this guy screamed, "Holy shit!" And I was like, what the hell is happening? And this graffiti writer climbs up the building and starts graffitiing the top. So I like quickly was just like, sucks because I had a frame in I like a proper frame when I was fishing. I'm like, okay, the shot's gonna be like this. And then when he started doing that, I was like afraid, like people don't like, graffiti writers don't like to be on camera. And I just like quickly shot something and put it back down. He like came back down and was like, "You take a photo of me?" And I was like, "No." And then he just walked off. But that's one of my favorite photos. And now it's this pea green bar. So I have a tip for photographers. If you're ever gonna shoot something and you just have that like next time syndrome where you're like, oh, next time, well, like I'll come back, like just do it now, because like stuff changes so fast, and there's so many spots in this city where I said that and I forget about it, and then it turns into something else, and I just like beat myself up knowing what it was beforehand. So I just say, like, if you're gonna shoot something, like either write it down and come back right away, or just do it now, even if you're feeling lazy.
This leads me on to the next question quite nicely, and that is, how do you deal with confrontation?
The easiest way to diffuse a situation, well, first, like if they're like super angry, keep distance. That doesn't happen a lot, but like, you know, if it looks like they might hurt you, I would not even try to like get in their face. I would like walk away. But a lot of it can be diffused with just a smile, just like, you know, not like looking like, I don't know, I tend to probably look mean when I'm shooting because you're so focused, but just smiling, laughing, and like telling them genuinely why you took the photo. Like when I'm taking a photo of someone, it's not because I'm not like trying to make them look bad or I think they look gross or something. Like usually like it's like because they attracted my eye in some way. So like I liked something about them, like I liked their outfit, or I liked the light on them, or I liked the wall behind them. So I'll just tell them, be like, oh, I really liked your shirt. Or if like I don't want to make it about them, I'll like make something up. Like usually, since I've been doing more complex scenes, it's more than just them. Like it's the person alone isn't enough. They're just a part of it. So it's like, I'll be like, oh, like, yeah, I really like this storefront. And then they'll be like, oh, it's about the storefront, not about me. So like there's little tricks you can do, or you can like do the thing where you shoot it and you like look around, or like, you know, I have a lot of little tricks like that I do.
Have you ever been asked to delete a photo?
Yeah, the one time I can think of is I was spending a whole day where I'm like, I'm only gonna shoot in the subways. I'm only gonna shoot underground. And there was like this couple and they were kissing and the train was whizzing by, and I did the whole cliche slow shutter thing where the train's blurred and they're kissing. And then he like looked at me and he like walked up to me and grabbed my arm, and he wouldn't let go of my arm until I deleted the photos. And that was kind of scary, to be honest. So along with like street, with like people as the subjects, I also collect weird things. Like I have a collection of ATMs around the city, payphones, graffiti trucks, just little broomsticks, little things that catch my eye. So one of these things, like I feel like ATMs around the city are disappearing quite fast, and like they turn into this. So I feel like, I don't know what this collection would ever amount to, but like it's just fun to have the same frame, just have different ATMs. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I just feel like it's one of those things, like, you know, there used to be payphones all around the city, like phone booths, and just, I believe in 2020 they ripped out the last one, maybe 2021, but I have like photos of hundreds of them because they turned into that. like all the phone booths were just like, they were disgusting, like hanging, like people gutted them to scrap the metal, or they covered in graffiti. And I just think they're really interesting to have like little timestamps, and no one can recreate that because they're gone forever. So
What was the point where you thought to yourself, oh shit, this is starting to make sense, I'm starting to understand what I'm doing?
the first few years were all influenced by Instagram. Like I was just seeing stuff I liked on Instagram and doing it, and it was all about like spots. It was like you go to the same spot and you try to do something different, but it's all kind of looks the same. But I think, so the first step was moving to New York. I feel like really changed it for me because I went from more like a composition-based photographer to like more into street photography. Like I never really cared that much about shooting photos of people in like Milwaukee or Chicago until I came here. So that kind of piqued my interest. Oh man, the sun is just brutal right here. Can we keep walking? All right. And then, so that kind of developed me to start taking photos of people. So that was like when I kind of found a groove, and it became exciting because you can do the compositions in your city, like with, you know, interesting shapes and buildings and architecture and geometry and whatnot. But like the only problem with that is you shoot that for 4 years or something and you did it all, right? Like those buildings don't change. You're kind of just stuck. So I think with people, it keeps every day exciting because there's always new people and there's always new things going on and moments that are, you can't really repeat it that often. I mean, you can, but it's hard. So then the second thing that really started pushing me, where things really started clicking, is when I started studying photo books and like documentaries of like the people before Instagram, like the masters, 70s, 80s. Like I have a huge collection. I just counted last night for this video of 108 photo books that I just started collecting in 2022. And I think that's really changed my eye and the way I see things, and it really like upped my standards and what I'm trying to create. And I think that before I was just focused on, you know, stuff that, here, let's go over here for a sec. I don't like all these people following me. I think that it like, before Instagram told me what was good, kind of, right? Like I was influenced, like I liked the stereotypical like photos of umbrellas and stuff, and I always chased rain. I wanted all my photos to look like Blade Runner, stuff like that. And I think photo books opened my eyes to like a whole new way of seeing and just composition. And I really started seeing my work improve when I started getting my inspiration from books and stuff outside of social media. So I think that's when stuff really started clicking, because then instead of going for moody photos in the rain, I started looking for light and shadow and contrast and color and everything, all these things that I never did before, and it like opened my eyes to a whole new world, and it was just made it fun again. So yeah, I think that was the turning point for me, moving to New York, and also it's like a really good place for photography, and then just getting influences outside of social media.
There's definitely a lot of advice that you can give to someone about photography, but to make this question harder, if you could summarize everything into one piece of advice, what would it be?
To shoot as much as you can. I think it's really important to like know the tool you're using. So like the more you use your camera, the quicker you'll be able to catch what you're interested in. And I mean, I'm kind of talking more about street photography, I guess, because you can like, if you're shooting a landscape, you have all the time in the world to dial in your settings. But I think the more comfortable you are with your camera, the tool you're using, you know, no matter what camera, the better a photographer you'll be. So just, you know, make sure you have that passion, shoot as much as you can to learn what you're interested in, and then you can kind of figure out what you want to photograph. You don't have to photograph street, you can shoot animals, you can do whatever. But I think, you know, you need to be taking photos in order to learn what you really want to do. And like by taking I think you should just make sure you have the passion and don't get in it for the wrong reasons. Like if you're picking up a camera for a career, like think again. And if you're picking up a camera just to get likes and followers or like grow a social media following, like you're not gonna last. I think you need to stay true to yourself. And then along with social media, I think one thing that I wish I did differently is like just resist the temptations of like creating work just for social media. Like I understand like creating a brand and whatnot, but if you're just starting photography, I think it should be for the love of it, and just like resist the validation from social media and like shoot and share what you like, not what's trendy and what performs well. Because I think that puts you in a box really quick, and you look like everyone else. And the people that I respect are people that have their own unique style, and that's not from just creating for an algorithm.
What about if you were to give one piece of advice, but to someone who's more experienced?
It's important to keep improving and experimenting and evolving as an artist. I think that if you go out every day and you're getting photos that you like, or photos that you are like thinking portfolio worthy, that maybe it's time to like start just pushing out of your comfort zone a little bit. And or like if you find yourself in like a rut to like travel or use different focal lengths, or try to just keep experimenting. Don't like plateau and stay stagnant. Just to keep trying new things, I guess.
Where do you see photography going over the next 10 years?
So I think photography is here to stay. Like, I don't think that photography is dying at all. Like with the evolution from print ads, like a printed billboard or a printed subway ad or a printed sign on a wall, to digital screens. Now, it used to be one image that was on for a month, on the billboard for a month. Now you have screens that have like 10 images cycling. I think each one of those need a photo, and you can't walk a block in this city without seeing photography somewhere. And with everyone scrolling, you need more ads than ever. So photography commercially and like as a medium, I don't think is going anywhere. And it's been around for centuries. I don't think photography is dying whatsoever, even with like short form video taking over. The bigger question for me is how do we consume the medium? And that's where I ask my questions. With like our attention spans getting really short, and short form video, and just people scrolling by for a second, it just makes me wonder where that's going to go in the future. And I hope things kind of go backwards, and I think it already kind of is, with people taking up film photography and consuming media through books and whatnot. But I feel like, technology is going to keep getting better and better. Cameras are getting smaller, faster, more megapixels, and now we have glasses that can take videos. Like, I feel like it's only a matter of time before you can take photos with your eyes somehow, or like, I think that photography is here to stay, but it's going to be ever changing. There's people with books who like have street photos using Google Maps or Google Street View only. Like, there's always interesting ways to come up with new forms of photography. It's just like, it's going to keep evolving. And my last thing is just something to think about, is like, how do you stand out like in the future in 50 years? What I'm like, I guess, most concerned about, or like thinking about with the future is, back in the day, like there's only like maybe 30 to 50 to 100, I don't know, people doing street photography. Let's say you can look back on books and negatives and museums to find who are the masters then. But if an alien came to Earth in 50 years and they want to see the best photography, how do you dissect this mess of finding the greatest photographers? Like, are they going to scroll through an Instagram account for 4 hours to get to the bottom and to see work from 2020? Like, you post a photo every day and it gets lost in 30 days. No one's going down, maybe some people, but most people aren't going down 30 posts. So it's like, are you creating a portfolio for yourself? Are you printing your images? Experience for me looking through a book is so much better. Like, I'll see the same images on Instagram of like my favorite photographers, and I won't even I will just scroll by pretty quickly, or I'll like pinch in to zoom, and it's not the same as when you're holding a book. You spend more time with it, and you can look around the image, and it's just the texture and just holding it. Like, it's so much more meaningful. And like, when I did my Japan work, I actually took I think I went to Japan. It took me like 3 months to start sharing the work. I actually printed out like 500 4x6s, and I sequenced all my Instagram posts using those 4x6s. So I laid it out on my bed and whatever, like the floor, just like I sequenced all, like the way you swipe, all through print. And that was like a game-changing experience for me, like to like see the photos. I know it's like, it sounds kind of weird, like if you're just thinking, I don't know, you have to do it, but it's just like, I think it's really important to print your work. You view your images, you'll like images differently than if you just have them on your screen.
Well, thank you so much. I'm not quite sure how long this interview will be.
I feel like I didn't cover everything I wanted to, but
I don't think I've got enough battery left for that, mate.
Yeah, it's all good. Thank you.
So there might have to be a part 2.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in town.
Yeah,
and,
or maybe I can come to London.
That's it. I hope you had your popcorn out for that. I mean, the viewers.
Yeah, I hope you made it. If you made it this far, you're a real one.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, mate, for coming on. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because I've been following you for a while, I think your work's incredible.
Thank you.
It's definitely a source of inspiration for me as well.
Likewise.
Especially like the complex layering that you do, it's quite something. So
Yeah, it's something.
I'll link all your stuff down below. I'll link your video down below. They're coming for you now, that's it. And they found him, he's about to run away. I'll link everything down below, and please check it out.
Also, check out my website, because unlike, or not like Roman, I don't ever check my analytics, but I have a lot of like my favorite work from over the years on my website. And you can see it in a bigger screen than Instagram, and I feel like a lot of my images are better on a bigger screen. So take out your laptop and look at them on there. So.
All right.
Thank you.
With that,
yeah.
Mike.
I'd like to take a moment and thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I've been using Squarespace for over 5 years as my online photography portfolio, where I share my best work from all the trips and shoots. Having an online portfolio is important because it's your little corner of the internet that you can arrange however you like. I would also encourage everyone to start an online blog about their photography. Having a blog is the best way for your website to stay relevant on Google, because there's fresh content always being uploaded. Not to mention, it's a great way for your website to become more searchable through SEO. Squarespace offers powerful blogging tools that will allow you to publish blogs from anywhere on any device. Squarespace also offers powerful analytics that help you understand where your readers are coming from and what they're searching for. If you're an aspiring photographer, having your own website is important because it will elevate you from everyone else. For a free trial followed by 10% off your first purchase, please use the link in the description or use code RomanFox when you check out. Thank you for Squarespace for sponsoring, and thank you for watching.